With the winter months finally here and making everyone freeze their butt offs, we're all reaching for some Cole, and some of us, if we listen to J. Cole, got a new song called Middle Child today, in which J. Cole attacks a plethora of topics over a triumphant sounding beat that has a trumpet that comes in and out, and basically he meditates on these things such as, topics you talk about in KOD with rappers that get too sucked up in the clout chasing and not too much in business acumen and are failing to really realize the long-term ramifications of something like that versus the short term, and he wants to guide them through that. He's not worried about people trying to attack him, and he's not trying to have beefs that are basically what he considers unnecessary. The fact of the matter to him is that you can have two big rappers get along and they don't have to always be competing, and competing doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's a blood sport in terms of I hate you just because we're on different levels or we're on the same platform, so we have to naturally hate each other. He doesn't see it in that light. He also feels as though this current generation of rappers, some of which have gotten into some definitively legal issues, are people who just needed better guidance, and he wishes that they had. He mentions Kodak Black, who is, definitely someone who has gotten into some legal trouble as well. He definitely harps on the fact that it's something that he feels as though it's just contributing to the cycle, this idea of basically these kids are not getting the guidance, so they're going back into behaviors that their parents are reinforcing because their parents were doing it before them, and there's parents, and it makes this huge wall. And I think that there is some credence to that. There is people who get stuck in situations that do not really give them the benefit of escaping certain behaviors that may befall them. Certain temptations and certain things that exist naturally are going to be harder to deflect if you're only around something that's reinforcing a certain idea, a certain way to act. You get this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. And so while that is true, I still think that it's important to note that not every person, yeah, they did need guidance, but they didn't get it. So I'm not going to just look at them with a sad prophet eye that J. Cole might. Now, again, that's not to say that it's wrong to look at people in a gray area. I think that's important because everyone can make mistakes. And there's just certain aspects of life that you have to learn through mistakes. Not everyone's going to leap every obstacle with a perfect jump. It takes a lot of work to really become a person, to mature into who you are. Some people do have bigger pitfalls than others, and some people are born into situations that don't really grant them that, so I can understand. But again, there are certain things that you can learn without making mistakes. Again, there are certain things that you can with making mistakes, that's fine, but there are certain things that are just kind of almost unwritten and learned. And again, if that's not being taught, then that's just unfortunate. However, people have to answer to their actions. There has to be consequences for the actions that you may or may not be a part of. And so that in itself is a bit of a lesson for people. I respect the fact that J. Cole looks at it like that, and he talks about how he feels like the middle child, because I was wondering when the theme of middle child was going to really show itself, because J. Cole is a rapper who considers himself very lyrical and someone who likes to tell stories, and he's done a good job of constructing stories before. His old concept album KOD, despite the fact that it may not have gotten super critical praise from people outside of his fan base, it was still him attempting at the very least to construct a story like that. And he's done it before in other albums, not necessarily having the whole album be about something, but if it was, he was able to construct that story. So I was curious about when the theme of the middle child was, and the way that he used it was talking about the fact that he's looking out for the 21 Savages and the Kodak Blacks, but then also he has the older heads that I don't think he necessarily feels he has to appease, but he sort of feels like he comes from that. And so it's kind of him feeling like he's stuck between these two worlds, because he basically is taking a sort of, like I said before, a unique approach to how people think beef should be. It should be, these two titans should just not like each other and not want to work together. He talks about accepting a gift from Drake and how basically he's like, I can do that because I'm not insecure and I'm cool with him and I don't have to fight him just because we're both popular. So I respect that for sure. There's just some beefs that are just wholly unnecessary, and they're sometimes hilarious. And I think that what happens is, especially in this age of social media where it's very easy for something to catch fire, everyone loves a good taste of drama. And if you can get that that from something and bring more attention to that thing, everybody's usually about it. I mean, that's kind of been a thing since probably before social media, but social media has amplified it. So in a way, he's kind of just telling people like, okay, chill out, it's not that big a deal. I appreciate, at least on Middle Child, like J. Cole's, him talking about all of these different scenarios. Now, was he spitting like hot fire bars? It wasn't really anything new, and there wasn't anything striking in that regard, but I do appreciate the, storytelling and using, to a degree, the Middle Child theme. It wasn't like a huge, like he just said, I feel like I'm like in the middle child, that type of deal. And typically a middle child is in the middle between like an older and a younger generation. Beyond that, the song itself was not like sonically displeasing. It was just okay. I think that it was perfectly fine for what J. Cole was trying to do. I think he was more focused on the story element, and he wasn't trying to really bring the heat as he attempted to do in his album of the year freestyle, where that's just him letting himself loose. So with that being said, only thing I'm in the middle of is this chair, because I'm sitting in it. I don't know. I don't have many core jokes about the centers or middles. I don't have any more synonyms either. Well, this guy says, if you're a middle child living on Middle Earth, in the middle of the universe, that's in the middle of another universe, guess what? The path is not linear, no matter where you come from, no matter when you come from. With that knowledge, you should be able to take on the world. So it's okay to be the middle child. Keep on going. I believe in you.